This is the video about how to go taking the setup and operation that you've created in your CAM module and actually generate what's called the G code that will go to a machine and run this out. So if I were to simulate with this exercise, this is going to be for your engraving toolpath that we did in here. So mine right here showing that it was done. You don't need to done this on your own, but this is a very simple, very basic engraving toolpath. Needs to go to the machine. So I'd have to assume that you've got to this point already. Now, if we want to actually send it out to a machine to run it, what you're going to need to do is either on the setup that you have here, notice that I'm right-clicking on that word that says setup, and you come down here to this post-process. Now, another way you could do this also is the same icon for post-process is up here. You'd have to select this first. Now, I recommend as best practice, always select at the setup level, the folder level. You could come here and right-click on this and then do post-process on this single operation, but that's not the best way to do that. You can get into trouble. That could then post out individual operations and not the whole thing. So always do it this way and go to the setup level, come down to post-process. Now I'm left-clicking on post-process right here. Okay, now you're going to get this screen that looks like this. Okay. Now by default, when you do this the first time, if you click on this pull-down menu, what it likely is set up to when you first start with this is going to be on this thing that says achromatic/achromatic. Now this pull-down menu here on this post-process folder is got a list of literally hundreds of different machine tools that are made by specific manufacturers that all speak a slightly different format of G code. These post-processors are set up, you need a whole bunch of different post-processors depending on how many machines you have in your shop because they may all work slightly differently. So we don't have achromatic machines here at Oak Ridge. What we do have are Haas. If you come down, so you notice that it's alphabetical down to the Haas here, and there are even several different flavors of Haas. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Haas post-processors. But the one that we want is the one in the middle here, the Haas, H-A-A-S, in parentheses, pre-NGC, which stands for Next Generation Control. Save that for a later date, an explanation, \Haas. This is the post-processor we want to use. So I'm clicking on this one. And if you notice, you may not have noticed, but what changed is the stuff that's in this window right here. Okay. Now what we'll do first is you've got to give this a program name. By default, it typically comes up with this 1001 number. I recommend that you change it from that default. This has to be a 4-digit integer number. So you could even use today's date, so 0405 in this case if you wanted to, or your birthday, or some 4-digit number that you can remember. So just for kicks right now, 0405. It's just a program number that has to be 4-digit integer. Okay. If it is not a 4-digit integer, it's going to give you an error. The other thing I recommend you do is change the program comment to something that you can understand. So for this, it's going to be MF Engraving. So explains that. Now, we're not quite done yet. We're going to have to come over here and change some things in this window specific to the machine that we have. Now, we're going to have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different changes that we're going to make for this machine that we're going to be running right now. The most important one to change right away, this thing that says built-in hide feed rate, this value needs to be changed down to 200. If you leave it at 500, our machines can't move that fast. This would be 500 inches per minute. High feed rate, our machines cannot go that fast. It will give an error if you forget to change that, saying the machine can't go that fast, or feed rate error or something. Okay. Now the next one that we're going to come down to is we're going to skip over chip transport for right now. We're going to leave that off. On other ones that we do in the future, we may change that. The next one we're going to come down here to, if you keep scrolling from here, coming down, it is the Preload Tool option. that is going to go from a yes to a no. The one below it here, safe start all operations. Why this isn't default set to a yes, I'm not certain. Now this one, there's a little glitch in its post-processor. To get what we want, you're going to click on that no and you're going to type in the number 1. The 1 will stand for a true value of yes, so that when you type in the number 1 there and you hit enter, you get a yes. We want to safe start all the operations. Okay, we're going to scroll down to the next one. It is going to be down here that says use G0. Okay, we want that also. Now this one we can click in that radio box here, that pull down box, and you're going to get a yes. And we're going to scroll down a little bit more and use G28 instead of G53. Come down here and also then hit yes on that. With all of that, our changes are good for the post processor that we want. Now what you would need to do here is, with all those changes hit, you're going to hit post. That says post, and you are now going to get a file saving window. This is effectively asking you, where do you want to save this file that's going to get kicked out. By default, it goes to a very random file location that's kind of hard to find. I recommend you all come here to say your H drive. What you're going to do is you're going to save this somewhere to your H drive. I have done a bad job of organizing my H drive, but hopefully you all have done better. When you click save here, on your computers it's probably going to take longer than it does on mine, and it's going to potentially have to initialize and start this program called brackets. But what you're going to get out here is very simply what ends up just being a text file. You could even open this with a notepad text editor and see all of this as well. Okay, but this here is the G code that the machine is computed for you and kicked out. This is actually going to drive the XY coordinates and command the machine to do various things to machine out your part. Now, to actually get it to the machine, you're going to have to know how to use a flash drive, plug it into a USB port on your computer, and this will then just simply turn into a simple file transfer. What you can do here is I'm plugging in a flash drive to my computer. I'm going File, from here in brackets, now Save As. Okay, you can see that USB device showed up on my computer. I'm going to come down here. On my particular computer, it's removable disk E that just showed up. And if I click here, you can see there's actually a whole bunch of these NC file types that people have saved onto this flash drive already. What you could even do at this point, you wouldn't have been able to do this and give a descriptive here, but I could also then alter this file name to say MF Engrave. So instead of being some cryptic 4-digit number that I don't exactly know what it is, it's a little bit more descriptive to me. I click save. That file is now actually saved to the flash drive, which was that E directory here. We could close all this out right there. I don't need to necessarily do that. Continue with that. We could then safely eject, if you know how to do this here, safely eject this. I've got a whole bunch of things here on my computer, but I could safely eject that USB drive. I'm now pulling it out of my computer. And then you would be able to take your flash drive to the Haas CNC and find that program and be able to run it. Now, before you do that, we're going to have some people check off on you, but the main thing for you all to make sure that you have done when you actually did your camp stuff here is making sure that that work coordinate system here is actually set to be in the upper left-hand corner of what would be your box top part here for this specific assignment. Okay, so there's X and Y 0 point with your Z height here. If this is in any other position, you need to stop what you're doing, find some help, and reset that up correctly. Because if you post this out in the wrong place, we can have real big problems when we get out to the machine. Okay? But if you do that, you're going to have a nicely, awesomely engraved box. And we'll have to cover a little bit of this setup out at the machine, but this is the first step to that. So let's have some fun.